From LPM,
Louisville Public Media.
Support comes from Vision Zero. On foot or behind the wheel, safety is a shared responsibility. And Vision Zero Louisville believes 0 roadway fatalities is the only acceptable amount. Their mission is to create safe roads by design, engineering solutions, and education. More information at visionzerolouisville.org.
Welcome to On Track. I'm Aisha Jaffer. This week we're exploring how food is woven into religious observances, shaping cultural identity and holding significance far beyond the meal itself. Today we're focusing on Ramadan, the Islamic month of fasting, and the traditions that come from within it. From the pre-dawn meal of suhoor to the evening gathering of iftar, food plays a central role in this sacred time, concluding with the joyous celebration of Eid. Joining us is Dr. Mohammed Babar, founding president of Muslim Americans for Compassion, an organization dedicated to interfaith dialogue, community engagement, and service. He's also a board-certified physician in internal medicine, geriatrics, and hospice and palliative care, and he serves as a clinical assistant professor at the University of Louisville. Dr. Babar is deeply involved in interfaith initiatives and community service, serving on boards like Dare to Care, the Family Community Clinic, the Center for Interfaith Relations, and the Muhammad Ali Center. His leadership has earned him honors like the Global Visionary Award, the Mosaic Award, and the Blanche B. Odenheimer Award for his work in social justice and interfaith engagement. Dr. Babar, thanks for being here on Track.
Thank you for having me, Aisha.
So what exactly is Ramadan?
So Ramadan is fasting, and as we know, almost all of our faith traditions have fasting in one shape or other. And in my faith tradition, Islam, fasting, there is a month of fasting which is called Ramadan, in which we fast 28 to 29 days. In Islam, we follow the lunar calendar, so every year it's 10 days earlier. So in this month, we do not eat anything from before sunrise to sunset. So no water, no food. Folks who smoke cigarettes, no smoking. And people who drink, no beer for them, which is not legal in Islam, but there are some of my friends that go for it. This is the way I take it, it's a spiritual boot camp. That basically in this month we just take a pause and reflect on the purpose of our creation. We spiritually, we try to be closer to the divine without the hectic life on daily basis. So we have silence and we have pause. On a physical standpoint, I'm a physician, and we look at that it gives us an opportunity that we can reset our body weight. I try to lose 10 pounds every month, and then I gain it back.
Right.
So we can take care of physical ailments like diabetes and high blood pressure and those if we do that. A lot of my friends, unfortunately, they are foodie and they kind of gain weight, but I try to lose weight. Similarly, it also gives us a perspective that how blessed and privileged we are. There is a significant majority of our fellow citizens on Mother Earth. They strive hard to put food on the table even for one single day. And here we indulge in increased consumption. So it gives us a pause to see that folks around us who does not have enough, that we feel their pain and we try to share our bounties with them. We as human beings, we need to support our fellow citizens through our philanthropic efforts each and every day of the year. But in Ramadan, there is especially a more emphasis, and people do a lot of charity and philanthropic acts with the hope that they will continue it through the rest of the year.
So it's also kind of a moment for mindfulness, right? So you're just very aware, and I like what you said. It's interesting what you said about, trying to lose and gaining weight, and this happens. I noticed in my community as well. There's mindfulness of body, mindfulness of other people, and then is there an element of also like disconnecting like from technology, anything like that goes on?
Absolutely. I mean, this is essentially, as you put in, it's mindfulness that you are aware of yourself. We, in our daily hustle and bustle of daily life, quite frankly, we lose connection with a lot of things, even within our own relationships. So in Ramadan, I tend to break fast when the whole family is there. We try to keep our phones off. We try to discuss one ailment of heart at a day. For example, that if it's jealousy, that how we should not be jealous of each other, we should try to appreciate. So we pick up one thing from our daily living and we discuss about that. So mindfulness at the end of the day, it is the food for our soul. So that's what in Ramadan we don't consume physical food, but we do acts that which is a food for our soul.
Absolutely. I love that sentiment. It's really beautiful because I feel like we don't stop these days. And this is a great, almost like a self-care or community care practice, really. So for those who might not know, who exactly celebrates Ramadan?
So it's 1.6 billion Muslims across our planet. They celebrate Ramadan. It's in the countries where so-called Muslim countries or the countries in West Europe. So it's basically celebrated everywhere in the world, and it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. So in addition to our daily prayers, our charity, annual pilgrimage, Hajj, which if you can afford, you should make that, and our belief in divine. So this is one of those important pillars that which is essentially mandatory on every able-bodied Muslim unless they are sick, traveling, or other exemptions they have.
Can you give us a sense of the Muslim community's presence here in Louisville?
Yeah, so Muslim community in Louisville is important part of the fabric of our city. We have, I think, Muslims from almost every country of the world here. We have native-born Muslims also. We have African-American Muslims. We have a huge community of Somalian Americans that who, after the war and the conflict in Somalia, who came here. We have from Europe. We have Bosnians that after the Bosnian war that they also called Louisville home. So there are Muslims from almost all part of the continent, and we also have different mosques where Muslims get together in Ramadan. So essentially, it's a very proactive community. We had our interfaith Ramadan dinner last week, where around 600 of Louisvillians they broke bread together. There were folks from the teachers, the doctors, chaplains, hospital administrators, the activists. We have our politicians. Our governor was there. Our mayor was there, and our theme this year was finding refuge in this conflicted world.
That's amazing. Well, in that incredible dinner, which you've done a few years now, right?
It was the 15th annual.
Oh my goodness,
Yes.
15th annual. Have you seen the community? What have you learned from that time of getting everyone together for 15 years?
So it has become a very important interfaith event in the city. It's essentially, I think, probably the largest interfaith gathering in the city. And folks, my friends, that non-Muslim friends who attend this event, they always make sure that they are there next year with their friends and neighbors. And there's one common sentiment which everybody has is that it's very spiritual, that we all feel very close to each other. At that point in time, we all are focusing on what we have in common. And we have a lot more in common than the differences which unfortunately most of the time are highlighted. We all understand that we are creation of one creator, whom we may call by different names in our faith traditions. And our sole purpose is to take care of each other and all living beings, including animal, plants, and our environment.
Absolutely. Well, I want to dive deeper onto that sentiment a little later, but just zooming back into Ramadan and the traditions to explore this more for those who are learning about it, can you explain the significance of suhoor and iftar and how these meals contribute to that spiritual and communal aspect that we're talking about?
So in Ramadan, the idea is not that you torture yourself. So the idea is that you take this pause, but you enjoy it, and you also bring yourself not only closer to God Almighty, but also close to your family, close to your friends, and close to your community. So in the suhoor, which is our meal, which is like a early morning breakfast, quite early. So in that, the family gets together. Like I have teenager boys who are high schoolers, so they both wake up early too, and then we don't consume a lot more, but we can have a couple of eggs and some yogurt and just light meal with water. So that is suhoor, and then you can eat just kind of 1 hour before the sunrise, before our morning prayer fajr, before as soon as time starts, and we eat till that. So it brings you chit chat. I remember that best time of my life was when I was growing up in Pakistan with my grandparents, and my granny used to wake me up, and I used to have this suhoor with her, and that is still to this day. This is the nostalgic time I have. And so in that way, we hope that our children will have the same feeling and they will have these memories. And then at the end of the day, at sunset, then we have iftar. So the iftar meal is essentially traditionally we open with dates. So if anybody has not tasted dates, I would urge you to taste date. Dates are sweet and it's fun to have dates.
I can second that. Yeah.
So we then water, and then we have light dinner there. There are some traditional. Every culture have their own traditions. Like in our Pakistani, South Asian culture, we have like those pakoras, and like everybody in America knows samosas. So we have pakoras and samosas, and then along with the dates, and then you have light dinner. But also there is an important aspect to iftar dinner is that it's if you can invite a stranger, if you can have friends there. So when we do that, we try to let's see that if there are some students there that who are just by themselves, you invite them over so they can break fast with you. So everybody tries to extend that beyond their own family to the community.
For those who are invited to an iftar, like what is there any do's and don'ts or etiquettes that they should know if invited?
No, it's just the Islamic the aspect that like whenever I have dinner at my home, my non-Muslim friends know that liquor will not be served.
Right.
So that is one thing. Secondly, then you break the fast at a fixed time, so everybody eats at the same time. Interestingly, Aisha, when we do our interfaith iftar dinner, even during the summer times, I had begged my non-Muslim friends that you guys can have early dinner and don't wait till the sunset at 8:30 or 9. But amazingly, everybody always want to wait and want to break together. So that's another significant towards that event.
I love that. I love that they're willing to do that. And it's a communal thing. Like it's such a beautiful thing that way. Well, you talked about dates, you talked about water and some of these foods. Is there any significance or symbolism behind any of those?
So the dates, because Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was from Arabia, which is modern day Saudi Arabia. He was born in Mecca. So the date is essential part of Arab culture. So that's where the significance of date came, and it's so spiritually. Then we like to follow that tradition. Similarly, within the it is expected, which sometimes we don't follow, that you don't fill yourself with the food, that you have 1/3 of your stomach with food, 1/3 with water, and you leave 1/3 for air. Unfortunately, I'm guilty of not following that, first of all. But as a physician, I'll tell you that whenever I follow this advice, my life is much easier, that the food easily move out of my stomach, and I don't have pressure, and I don't have that uncomfortable feeling that after eating. Because I always tell my boys that after you eat food, it should make you happy. that if you are eating a real spicy food and afterwards you are just cursing yourself, then it's not worth it.
So they're also learning that probably that those boundaries as well in these meals. I mean, I know I did growing up because there would be such a spread of desserts that was always gulab jamun or even faluda in my culture. So like a rose water drink. So that's I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see that, but then to learn those boundaries for yourself too.
My mouth is watering with those desserts.
I'm sorry.
So thank you, Aisha.
Well, we'll be back with more after the break. You're on track with Louisville Public Media. Springtime is just around the corner, and it's not too soon to start planting your garden. Maybe you're wondering if your spot is sunny enough to support sweet peas, how to make your rosebuds abundant, or when to prune your poplar. Ask our master gardeners. Call or text 502-814-TALK. That's 502-814-8255 with your questions for On Track's Spring Gardening Show. So welcome back to On Track. I'm Aisha Jaffer, and this week we're exploring the role of food in religious observances. And our focus today is on Ramadan, and we are talking to Dr. Muhammad Babar, the founding president of Muslim Americans for Compassion. So Louisville lit the Big Four Bridge green to celebrate the start of Ramadan, highlighting the city's recognition of this important tradition. In what ways do you think Louisville has supported its Muslim community during Ramadan, and what do you think could be done more to foster inclusivity?
Louisville is the best kept secret in whole America. It's an amazing city. It is truly a compassionate city. When somehow people think about diversity, they just think about East and West Coast. But Louisville is a very diverse community. And when I became part of this community over 22 years ago, they made me feel welcome. I mean, I'm more comfortable here than I was in my city where I was born. In Louisville, as we declared it City of Compassion in 2010, and I was part and chair of Compassion in Louisville. We had tried to bring compassion to the roots of our city, and yes, it's as imperfect as it is anywhere else. Especially we saw after Breonna Taylor incident. We realized that how much work needs to be done in all facets of our city. But overall, our community is very welcoming, is very supportive to folks who may pray differently or look differently. In 2015, Louisville Islamic Center of Compassion on River Road was vandalized. And I really saw that how welcoming Louisvillians were. That there were over 1,000 Louisvillians who showed up to paint the signs of hatred with paint of love. The traffic was blocked on River Road to downtown. So there were Louisvillians from all different walks of life, faith, gender, sexuality. So it was amazing. Similarly, last year, Mayor Greenberg lit Big Four Bridge green, and our community and community at large appreciated it so much that Mayor's office did it again, and I'm hoping that this tradition will continue. It tells to folks that Muslim Americans are as much part of the fabric of America as anybody else is. We talk about these iftar dinners. Thomas Jefferson had an iftar dinner in Oval Office at that time. We talk about the presence of Muslims in Islam, in America, that Muslims are no alien. If we go historically, that when our Constitution was written, probably at that time Muslims were the biggest minority because a significant percentage, sometimes they say that I think it's maybe around 25 to 30% of our brothers and sisters who were enslaved from Africa, they were of Islamic faith. So it's these gestures, these examples, they actually highlight to the community at large that, listen, we all are together. We may pray differently, but we are creation of one God. And our job is just to respect each other, put ourselves in the shoes of other person, and try to hear their stories. And it may change our perspective if we have fear of unknown at present.
That's an incredible sentiment. And I myself didn't know that we were the city of compassion. So this makes a lot of sense to me that Muslim Americans for Compassion exists and also gives back. And you did talk about this element of Ramadan too, of charity. And I'm curious about Muslim Americans for Compassion. I think you've been distributing Ramadan care packages to support those in need this month. Can you share a little bit more about this kind of work and how it fits within?
So overall, with Muslim Americans for Compassion, and then we have another Muslim-run organization, Doctors for Healthy Communities, we try to pay back to our fellow citizens. In Ramadan, we are having food supplies, care packages, which we are distributing especially among the refugee communities and new Americans. We have, in the times of need, we do like tornado when it happened in Western Kentucky, that we were there to support our fellow Kentuckian brothers and sisters. We were in Eastern Kentucky in 2022 floods. We are still doing scholarships for students in Dawson Springs High School in Western Kentucky who enroll in college. We distribute Christmas gifts in Eastern Kentucky in the schools there. We, through Doctors for Healthy Communities, we do free physical examinations in our own city, in the underprivileged schools, the kids, that sports physical examination and general health. And Aisha, believe it or not, in these underprivileged schools, there is a significant percentage of kids who do not have their physical exam done on first or sixth grade due to different barriers. So we try to do that physical examination. We bring Lions Foundation, the camera, so we just essentially we diagnose kids who need eyeglasses, other aspects, and try to support them.
So compassion, it's sort of like this is happening all year round, and it's a reminder within Ramadan, but it's amazing to hear that these things are happening all year round and very inspirational, I think.
And Ramadan is just, as I mentioned, is a boot camp, just to remind us that this is our duty as a person of faith to support our fellow citizens, and we need to continue it throughout the year.
Absolutely. Well, I want to talk about, the end of Ramadan, Eid, this festival, breaking the fast. I know it's a joyous occasion, marking the end, and it's just around the corner. It's not terribly far away. How is this holiday typically observed in our community?
So Eid is a very joyous occasion, and especially the children look forward to it. So Eid is a festivity for the children. My fond memories are of Eid with my grandparents and with my community. So you buy gifts for the kids. You give them some money, which is called Eidi. You take them out for shopping. So the kids really loved it. But also community at large also gets together. On the day of Eid, we do a prayer. We called it Eid prayer. And it is, usually we try to do it in a larger gathering. So for example, in Louisville, the community gets together. It's either at the convention center or at the Freedom Hall. So there are probably, I think, 6,000-7,000 people together. They are saying the prayer. They say Eid greetings to each other. They share some desserts there. So it's really a community event. So sometimes we have our non-Muslim friends. They also joined us for the Eid. And then after that, you go and you visit your family and your friends. That's the tradition in Eid, and you share meals.
And are non-Muslim people allowed to come join Eid if invited?
Absolutely. They are. And some of our friends, they join us at the Eid prayer, and some of our friends, they join us during the meals. Yes.
It's such a fun time. I also have I remember just waiting for my dad to open the fridge, and that was like, Eid starting.
Yes. It's like Christmas.
It really is. So we talked about this a little bit, but through your extensive community engagement work, whether through Muslim Americans for Compassion, interfaith initiatives, or your advocacy in Louisville, you've helped foster dialogue and understanding across different faiths. How do you see food playing a role in building cultural and religious connections, particularly during Ramadan and Eid? And why do you think it is really important that we share these traditions, not just within the Muslim community, but with those outside of it as well?
So food is an integral part of a human existence. As caregivers, when we are parents, we are feeding our kids. when we are hosting somebody, it all starts from the food. Even when you are having meetings, it starts from the food. So food is a very important part of our existence, and that's where different dialogues or things or difficult discussions take place while you break bread. So if you can, I think even in our country at this point, that when we are so partisan, I think we need to have these small gatherings. We need to bring people together on food. We can discuss, we can have a candid political discussion on those. So it's like the Thanksgiving dinner, that then the whole family comes there, a Christmas dinner. So same way, it's the Ramadan iftar dinner, suhoor or Eid dinner. So food plays a very major role in bringing the citizens together. And I think it's on the same token that when we are trying food from a different culture, a different ethnicity, so then we understand that, why folks in Pakistan are eating more rotis or naans or those things, because wheat is the main staple there. So that's how the food takes the shape around our cultures and our climate and our environment. So I think that it's fun that when you go and when you share food in a different culture.
Yeah, and then there's it's like you were saying, this communal aspect of also just an understanding, which sort of breaks down those barriers.
Exactly.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here talking about Ramadan. I really appreciate it. I have to ask one more thing. Is there anything specific to the traditions of Ramadan in Kentucky? Is there any Kentucky element that's added?
Let me think about that. So in being in Kentucky, and when we break the food together, so sometimes when I break fast together with my friends who are African American and observe Ramadan, so then I enjoy the soul food with them.
Oh, beautiful.
We enjoy the greens. The greens become a part of that. So that is very important aspect which our Kentuckian friends, that they are bringing to that. And similarly, I think somehow in our greater iftar parties, then the southern food becomes a part of that too.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Babar. Thanks for joining us today on Track.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Aisha.
Dr. Mohammed Babar is the founding president of Muslim Americans for Compassion. He serves on the boards of Dare to Care, the Family Community Clinic, the Center for Interfaith Relations, and the Muhammad Ali Center. On Track is a production of Louisville Public Media. The On Track production team includes Michelle Tyreen Johnson, Jacob Munoz, Alex Biscardi, and Laura Ellis. If you're just tuning in and you want to hear the full show, you can find it now at LouisvilleOnTrack.org or in your favorite podcast app. And let's continue the conversation. Is there something you want to hear about? Something that matters to your Kentuckiana experience? Let us know by sending a text or giving us a call at 502-814-TALK or send an email to ontrack@lpm.org. I'm Aisha Jaffer, and remember, being kind is free. That's the start of community. Until next time, you're on track with Louisville Public Media.